Good morning, everyone. We have an excellent presentation for you today. Let me introduce today's speaker. Known as the landing expert, Freund helps clients improve their interview performance by removing the fear so they can feel confident during the process. For the last 15 years, Alex has helped more than 1,200 clients ranging from managers to CEOs in a variety of industries. For the last decade, Alex has been managing and publishing via his website, landingexpert.com. The Landing Expert Directory is a very popular free source of job search networking groups. I'd now like to introduce Alex. Alex?
Thank you so much, Jerry. I appreciate the introduction. I just want to add two more things that are important because of the topic today. I want to make sure that you guys recognize I am not a robot, I'm a human. I will use AI, but not the way you think AI. AI, when you hear AI, you think about artificial intelligence. I will not use artificial intelligence. I will use AI, which is authentic intelligence. Now, perhaps I oversold myself. I'm not sure if I have intelligence, but I will try to do my best to prove it a little bit. And this is a very nice presentation because I think it's very, very educational. And I hope you will help me move on with your questions. And it's my pleasure to answer if I can. When I make such presentations, I always say, easy questions you can send my way. If the questions are more difficult, I will find somebody on my screen that can help me out. And by the way, Joseph, thank you for joining us. And Dietmar, thank you for joining us. Dietmar is from Maryland. Dietmar and I are good friends, and Dietmar was my client, I don't know, 10, 12 years ago, if not longer. And we're still very good friends. Okay, so let's move on. I assume you can see my slide, correct? The bot is ready to interview now, yes? Okay, very well. Okay, so the hiring process is evolving. There is a great deal of activity out there. As many of you know, I live in central New Jersey, and I've been here 19 years, and I can admit to you, it's the first time in the last year or two that when driving on main roads in front of J&J and then other pharmaceutical companies, they have huge signs saying we are hiring. J&J didn't need to advertise their hiring, more people apply. So there is a lot of activity out there. Of course, COVID-19 pandemic has just accelerated the hiring process. I don't need to tell you that companies are doing everything. They give sign-on bonuses. I heard all kinds of extraordinary stories that companies are doing to attract qualified candidates. So as you know, there is an awful lot going on. It's almost like the pendulum swing to the other side. Companies are now looking for people. That's amazing. Now, since the advent of the pandemic, video, here's a keyword, video interviews have increased 76%. Now, that is a very important piece of information. And it's very logical. No longer are you invited to a conference room to be interviewed. Now, interviewing is happening via video. And no longer, if you say, I'm going to work, in the past, I know in my case, when I said, I'm going to work, your interpretation of my sentence was, I'm taking the train, I'm taking my car, an hour, half an hour and a half. Today, when you say, I'm going to work, it has a total different meaning. You can be sitting in your living room in Milano, Italy, or you can be in Mississippi, or you can be just about anywhere in the world. Here is some interesting information. In a recent poll, 55% of people said they have never heard of interviews with a machine, with a robot. I assume, I would like to see some hand, but I assume all of you heard, but I'm telling you, there are lots of people say that, what? What does it mean? How do I interview with a laptop? Now, I found out in doing this presentation that 1/3 of Fortune 500 companies are using AVI. By the way, AVI is asynchronous video interviews. That's a term that's used. Everyone here knows what is the ATS, applicant tracking system. That's a word that came very, very smoothly into the American language. Now, you will hear the word AVI more and more because, again, 1/3 of Fortune 500 companies are using right now AVI. And here is a shocking slide. Walmart is conducting 15,000, yes, 15,000 AVIs daily. Now, for me, this was a shocking number, 15,000 daily. Now, let me ask you guys a question, and I will put you on the spot. How many employees are working worldwide for Walmart? Can anybody guess? Just turn on your microphone and just answer. What do you think? Give me a guess. Now, looking it up right now and answering this other answer.
500,000.
2.3 million. I just looked it up today. 2.3 million people. So I did the math. This is just a little, 15,000 of 2.3 million is just a little over half of 1%. So yeah, that makes sense. But can you imagine they do 15,000 a day? In central New Jersey, they started using AVI. Very well-known company in central New Jersey called Johnson & Johnson. Yes, they're doing this. How do I know? Because I work with a client, kind of a mid to high level manager that told me they had to go through this. And here is the process. I'll come to that in a minute. So lots of job applicants with pent-up demand to fill opening. So there is a lot going on right now. There is a lot going on, and companies, cannot handle the tremendous volume. So this is what Plato said, not me. Necessity is the mother of invention. So companies had to come up with something to help themselves because they are inundated, they're flooded with applicants. So they introduced something, automation. And again, the purpose of this automation was to screen out applicants. They cannot handle hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people joining HR requests to be interviewed at that company. So they came up with AVI. That was a solution to cut out. And how do they do it? As you guys know, it takes several steps to lead to an offer or rejections. And somebody needs to manage that. So they came up with the AVI to manage it for them. Here is the process. Once you have passed successfully through the employer's applicant tracking system, again, they're using still the applicant tracking system, you will receive an email invitation to interview with a bot. You pass the ATS and you receive, John, thank you very much for applying. Here is the process. We will send you a link, and actually it's here. I'm jumping ahead of myself. But the completed video, once you do that, the completed video recordings are reviewed by a team and ranked. Now, when I looked at this piece of information, I was just thinking, all of you know that in the past, we heard that recruiters spend 6 to 10 seconds on a resume to make a decision whether to continue reading it or putting it in a wastebasket. Now, what do you think, how many seconds it takes an individual to decide whether to give you 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 stars based on your interview? I don't know, but I suspect they will not. You may interview there for 20 minutes to an hour, and they will take probably 5 seconds to 10 seconds just to make a decision whether to take you into consideration or not. As you can see here, I have a small screen, but there is an individual of John Peterson, and he received evidently 5 stars here by several people that were on the team evaluating his interview. The industry leader, HireVue, it's a company, ranks responses based on data collected from current applicants. Now, there is a piece of information here we need to understand. They collect data from current applicants. Think about it. In other words, you are competing with a limited number of applicants. This is what they use to evaluate you. So you're in a competition here. The interview can last from 20 minutes to an hour. I'm talking about the interview with the computer, with the bot. The candidate is given 1 to 3 minutes to prepare a response with a chance to redo it. Basically, you have a person coming on your screen and say, please tell me about yourself. And you are given 1 to 3 minutes to prepare in your own head to provide an answer. And then they tell you that you have 2 minutes or 3 minutes to answer. And after that, it cuts off. That's the end of it. In some situations, they allow you to look at your recording. If you like it, you say send. And if you don't like it, you can redo it. But if you redo it and the second time is worse than the first one, too bad. So you need to be aware of it. The highest ranked candidates are invited for live video interviews. So again, I guess if you get 5 stars, 4 or 5 stars, then they will decide that some of those people that apply, they will be invited for an in-person interview, which is good. Or a live video interview, forgive me, not in-person, live. Now, what are the company's benefits? And there are several, and one of them is, first of all, for the company, it's very convenient. They set up a process, it's an easy process. The decision is a team decision, not only an individual, and it is aided by artificial intelligence. I'm sure we will talk about that. It's aided by artificial intelligence. Remember one thing, what I said a little earlier. We are talking here about thousands of applicants. They needed to come up with a mechanism to sift through and evaluate and rank. Now, another advantage the company has, the AVI simplifies the scheduling, saves time for the company, eliminates a lot of administrative tasks, and the process is standardized. So definitely companies are investing money in it. They have no choice. They want to streamline the process. Now, what is happening at the other side of the coin? The applicant. The applicant is facing many, many hurdles. First of all, lack of familiarity. Remember my slides? 57% of people never heard of AVI. There is no icebreaker. You know, when you go to a video or definitely in-person interview, they welcome you, please sit down. Would you care for tea or coffee? Would you like water? Whatever. You know, there is an icebreaker. There is no icebreaker here. In our society, we feel very uncomfortable with this. Also, it's a one-way communication with no chance to ask questions and no rapport with the interviewer. I want to tell you, this is very, very difficult. I took the test. I took such a video AVI. And again, as you guys know, I do interview preparation on a daily basis. I've been doing this for now 16 years. I felt so uncomfortable with this. So imagine some people that they don't have this breadth and experience as I have, how it is. It's awful, I can tell you. So here is my first stop. I want to stop. I give you a lot of new information. I want to give you guys a chance to chime in and make a comment, ask a question, whatever.
Hi, Alex. This is Joe Pelligra. I have a quick question.
Yes, hi.
So based on how many of us were familiar on how we've gone through the whole process of getting to a face-to-face interview, it's been very interactive, people-to-people intensive, and now with AVI, it's much less so until the absolute end point. Are there any statistics about AVI providing a better set of candidates and better hires versus what was the quote-unquote old way of doing things?
Somebody, can you guys please put yourself on mute? I couldn't hear exactly. Could you repeat the last question?
Sure. Can you hear me now, Alex? I'll make sure.
Now I can.
Okay.
Yeah, Joe.
So my basic question is, the old way of doing things was very people and person to person interaction. Versus today, you'll get to the at the end point after you get through the AVI process. So my question is, are there any statistics that basically shows that in this new world of AVI with bots, etc., that a better set of candidates are being presented and better hires are being made versus, again, what I'll call the old-fashioned traditional way, where, you know, again, it was more analog versus digital?
Joe, I don't know about such statistics, but if you ask my personal opinion, I don't think this process is helping the company select better people. Remember, the objective of this AVI is to eliminate people.
Right.
Is to eliminate people. And I can't believe that this process will help them select better people. I just don't believe.
Okay. Thank you, Alex.
Yeah, thank you. David, somebody has a microphone on and it provides a lot of background noise.
There was a moment ago when Joe first asked this question, it was a new caller joining, and I did mute the person just ahead of you asking. Nobody else has that now.
Thank you so much. Okay, so Joe is asking, it went away. Joe, you asked a question. Why don't you turn on your microphone?
Oh, it's
Hi, Alex. It's great to get this updated info. I was wondering, for these AVI interviews, are they used more for certain positions? And the reason I ask that is, you know, I have applied, I'm fortunately employed now, but I found that some companies do it for certain positions, and I didn't know, like, if it was more targeted to maybe entry level and mid-level versus more senior positions.
Well, here is my logic. Again, I'm not a professor in AVI, so I don't know. I don't have all the information. But here's my logic. They cannot discriminate, saying that if you are accountant /2, you will go through this. But if you are an accountant /4, you will not go through it. However, I suspect if you are a senior executive, I don't think they will put you through this. The only evidence and fact I have that this lady that I spoke with that worked for or applied for Johnson & Johnson, again, she was a medium to high level manager. And yes, she was asked to go through this process. Now, if you are a vice president, senior vice president, or C-suite level, I suspect they will not put you through this. This is to eliminate the masses. Any other questions? If you don't, I can proceed. Okay, so we will talk a little bit about artificial intelligence. So how does artificial intelligence influence the hiring decision? That's a great question. So in the 1990s, Monster.com, and you guys remember that, they offered employers digital job listings at a lower rate than newspaper classified ads. By them lowering the price, all of a sudden the needle moved to the other end, and all of a sudden Monster became very popular. The avalanche of applicants led to applicant tracking system. Again, all of a sudden, because it was so easy to apply, they introduced the applicant tracking system, which basically was a valve, basically was a filter to filter out those people that just simply applied because they said, what the hell, why not? Okay. AI technology vendors build predictive tools for scoring and ranking applicants. There is a lot of knowledge about AI, and very smart people were engaged to make a future prediction. This is a very big area. I'm certainly not competent in talking about this, but one thing comes to my mind. 10 years ago, I remember I had a young man, a Columbia PhD in data analysis and so forth. He started explaining to me what he really does. And I know that he worked for a number of years for colleges. So what did he do? He needed to provide the leadership of the university and the college how many students will sign up next year. So I said, that's interesting. Why is this so important? He said, Alex, are you kidding me? Everything is based on the budget. We need to know with a relatively high level of precision how many students will sign up next year. Because every student is equivalent to so many dollars, that it tells us, can we improve our plant? Can we build a new building? Can we hire more professors? So yes, future knowledge for an institution such as college and university is of utmost importance. So again, the same here in this business. You know, AVI, I misspoke, forgive me. Artificial intelligence, you know, they are helping companies build the future, knowledge for the future. And that's the reason they are employing this. And they are like Google search engine or Netflix personalized movie suggestions. You know, if you watch something on Netflix, drama or whatever, you know, next time you get into Netflix, guess what they will feature? They will feature drama. Okay, so let's talk a little bit more details about AVI. AVI measures performance by analyzing verbal responses, tone, and facial expression. Remember, verbal responses, tone, and facial expressions. Artificial intelligence provides a comparison to other similar candidates. You remember what I said earlier, that you are compared to the database that they collect, which is a kind of not fair, but that's what it is. You're not compared to the whole population, you're compared to whatever they have in their own database, which I think is a negative. So here's the big question that you want answers to. What can applicants do to improve their chances? That's the biggest question. First, maintain eye contact. Guys, I want to tell you, this is very, very difficult. Again, that's what I do every day. I help people improve their interviewing skills. And I see this universally. Universally. I ask people a question, an interview question, and as soon as I finish asking, their eye moves elsewhere. They're not able to maintain eye contact with me. This is very, very common. Now, you see me on your screen, and of course I talk to you guys, but as you can tell, I am looking elsewhere. I'm ignoring you. How do you feel that the speaker is not looking at you? So one of the things I can tell you is make an attempt to maintain eye contact with the individual interviewing you. And in this case, if it's a robot, yeah, it's a robot. Yeah, you have to maintain eye contact. It's easy for me to say. It's difficult for people to do it. So my advice to people is this. Don't think that just because I told you to do that, you can just switch from channel A to channel B and you will be perfect. It will not happen. What I'm suggesting is keep this in the back of your mind. From today on, every time you talk to someone, every time you communicate with someone, whether this is a cashier at your supermarket or the mechanic of the car shop or a friend or family or neighbor, somebody, make an attempt to look at them as much as you can during the conversation. That's the best advice I can give you. Speak at a comfortable rate. And I say this because we know when people are under pressure, they speed up the rate. And if you speak faster than normal, perhaps you slur your words. Perhaps they don't understand everything you say. And especially so if you have a strong accent. So my point is be aware and conscious that you want to speak at a comfortable rate. And again, avoid the use of filler words. All of us, except those of us that are in the broadcasting business that are trained for this, all of us are using such words. Gotcha, basically, yeah, okay, yeah, right, yeah. These are words that somehow they got into our vocabulary and we use them frequently and we are not even aware of it. Let me tell you, the artificial intelligence is measuring this. Very soon, I'm going to give you the scores of what I received when I did such a test with a robot. Excuse me. Use an online interview practice software called Interview Focus. By the way, this is the one that I use to practice and get instant written feedback. This is what it is. I will go through it very quickly. Roughly, it's about, when I took it, I don't know, 2 years ago, whatever, it was about $45. I found that you can also use LinkedIn Learning. They also have a software, so you can use that. Now, the next thing I'm asking you to do, smile. Smile a lot, because you will be evaluated on how much you smile. The robot is able to evaluate how much you smile, and in comparison to other people, you smile a lot, you get high points. Okay, your tone of voice will be analyzed for anger, joy, fear, sadness, and disgust. I will share with you soon my personal results. Now, your language style, we all have a language style. Well, it will be analyzed whether the way you speak is analytical, is it tentative, Or do you have confidence? Do you speak with confidence? One of the things we always say to people when you go for an interview, you have to exude confidence. Confidence is very, very important. Now, make sure your face is properly lit with no shades. I show you here two examples. The person on the left, you can see very clearly the individual face. The person on the right, it's okay, it's not, but I would have liked a little more light. Elevate the camera at eye level. Most people don't do that. Actually, right now, I did elevate my camera. I will put my finger on the camera. It's at my eye level. Because if I put my laptop on my desk, it's not projecting the best image of me. I want to stretch this part so I will not have a double chin. So I elevated my camera, so when I'm looking like this, it gives a better picture of me. Here I have a set of tips for you. Position the camera to show upper body in order to mimic what the interviewer would see if you were sitting across the desk. Look the way you see me on your screen. You see my upper body because if you invite me to your office, this is what you would see. If you invite me to your conference room, I come in and say, "Hi, Mr. Johnson, give me a second, I need to position myself." And I climb under my desk and I will show you only this. No, I'm not doing that. I want you to see me the way you would see me if you were to invite me physically to your office. You want to show the upper body also because we communicate a lot with our body language, way more than you think. If we have time at the end, I will show you, I will demonstrate to you how much we communicate with our body language. Use good quality earbuds to control the quality of the sound. I'm using, the earbuds I got from my iPhone. Typically very good quality. Why is this important? Because otherwise, if you use the microphone built into your laptop or your computer, it may have outstanding quality, but may have bad quality. And if it's bad quality, the interviewer will say, excuse me, I didn't hear. What did you say? Can you repeat again? The interviewer will kind of nod and say, yeah, but I can tell you, they heard only 80, 90, 70% of what you said. Not only that, if you are going away, for example, if I move back, you see right now, the quality of my voice did not change because I'm wired. But if I were to use the microphone built into my laptop, the further I go away from my computer, the worse the quality of my voice becomes. The next tip I have for you, develop answers to common interview questions. What do I say here? There are only so many questions they can ask you during the interview. I would say I have a list of 3 pages of what I call common interview questions. By the way, if any of you wants to write to me, and I'm more than happy to send you those 3 pages. Out of those 3 pages, there are 10 perhaps that are very, very, very common. Tell me about yourself. How many interviews have you had that nobody asked you, tell me about yourself? What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Why should we hire you versus other people? By the way, if we hire you, how much do we have to pay you? Oh, do you have any questions for us? I mean, there are some common interview questions. The best tip I can give you, prepare. Find a friend, find a neighbor, find someone that can help you. You need to practice. And when I say practice, I don't mean practice in your own head, which is, by the way, good. But if you practice with someone that can give you feedback, that's 100% better. Also, don't forget to develop behavioral interview questions. There are companies, especially what I'm known is the pharma, they love asking behavior-based questions. Tell me a time when. Who was your best boss and why? Can you share with me a situation where you failed but you persevered? These are the type of questions that pharmaceutical companies love talking. Now, how many of you remember Marianne Kennedy? John Sampson, you remember? Yeah. I remember Marianne Kennedy, as you know, she was way back the director of HR for Bristol Myers Squibb. And I remember a presentation of hers in Hamilton Square at St. Gregory the Great. And she said in front of everybody, we in pharma at Bristol Myers Squibb, we ask only behavior-based questions. I remember that. Now, learn in advance as much as possible about the company. It's a huge advantage for you if you go to this interview and you know you're a walking encyclopedia about their company. Why is that important? Because I hope that during the interview, you will be able to sprinkle here and there your knowledge about their company, which will be very, very impressive for them. And probably equally important is the fact that you will differentiate yourself from your competition. For almost 4 decades, I was a hiring manager. And I admit to you that sometimes I interviewed people and 2 people, sometimes even 3 people, were really very, very good. So let me remind you, I had only 1 opening. And now I have 2 people that are very, very good. How do I make a decision? How do I make a decision to hire John or Peter? If you are able to differentiate yourself, if you are there and you're fantastic and the other person is there and not, that's easy for me to make a decision. But if you and somebody else are very, very close to the other person, it's very difficult for the hiring manager to make a decision who to hire. One of your objectives in an interview is to make sure in the eye of the decision maker, you are better than your competition. The number 1 question of the interviewer is, why should I hire you and not the other people I interviewed? Develop answers to potential questions based on the job description. I'm just saying the obvious here, but I felt compelled sharing this with you. What is the job description? The answer is, it's a description of the job. Guess what you are going to be talking to with the interviewer? It's about the job. I can tell you what the interview is not about. Sports, politics, geography, botany, zoology, astronomy. The interview is not about that. The interview is about the job description. I cannot tell you what specific question they will ask you during the interview, but I can assure you a job interview is a lot about the job description. It is your job to analyze the job description and, if you are smart, you develop ahead of the interview, you develop some answers to those questions. Okay, I see that Valerie put something, it comes to my screen for a second and disappears. So David, I'm sure you will ask me later. So let me keep going. Or you can interrupt me, by the way, anytime.
It's a comment, Alex, that she wrote to everyone. Try to learn about your interviewers too, if you can get their names ahead of time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Practice with someone experienced who can give you instant feedback. This is the best tip I can give you. By the way, I want to make it very clear. This is not a solicitation for business. But work with someone, a friend, a father, an uncle, a daughter, a dog, or somebody that can help you. Have them ask you typical interview question. You reply. Allow them to give you honest feedback. There's no way for you to improve your performance unless somebody tells you where to improve and how to improve. Now, I've been asked this question very, very often. Alex, where shall I look? Shall I look at the camera on my laptop or shall I look at the people on my screen? My answer is you're not able to look at that little light, which is the camera. It's impossible unless you're a trained broadcaster. It's impossible. So look at the person on your screen and keep your eye on that individual. They will see you like looking at them. That's the best you can do. Artificial intelligence detects facial expression. Perhaps I will be able to show you soon how much we communicate with our body language. If you ask me, I will demonstrate. Use LinkedIn Learning to practice interview answers. If you have premium on LinkedIn, you have access to LinkedIn Learning, and they have several tools how to use. Again, you should practice as much as you can. And in conclusion, most hiring decisions are still made during the live interview. Again, it's not the robot that makes a decision. Now, I want to share with you a little bit. I told you, I will share with you my, my scores when I did this test. When I put together this presentation, I said, I want to test it to see what it is. So my overall rating was six. I don't know if you can see it. It's 61%. And that's above average. 41 to 60 is average. So I made the 61, so I jump over to above average. But first of all, I was evaluated for my eye contact, and I knew that I will be. Therefore, I received a score of 96 percentile, which is high because I made an effort to look at the camera. There is something they call head engagement. I received 65. In other words, I moved my head appropriately. Speaking rate, I received 60 percentile. And let's see, speaking rate, yeah, I spoke at 127 words per minute. And again, 120 to 139, that's average. So I didn't speak too fast, I didn't speak too slow. In terms of filler words, I use the word so, S-O, 9 times, the word like 7 times, right 4 times, actually 3 times, you know once. Okay, so I did use filler words. Smile evaluation. wow, I smiled 21 times, 21 times. And I received a score of excellent. I knew that I'm going to evaluate it, so I made an effort to smile as much as I can. In terms of tone of voice, I told you tone of voice is also evaluated. In the emotion area, they evaluated me on anger, joy, fear, sadness, and disgust. And on the third question, they detected an elevated anger, whatever. In the language style, they evaluated me on analytical, tentative, and confident. And again, question number 4, I sounded rather analytical. In some questions, I was confident, tentative. Again, it's artificial intelligence. What else? I guess that's it. Okay. Yeah, that's a kind of statistic. You get like a 6-page printout after you do this. If you have an upcoming interview with a bot, my recommendation is definitely, if you can, go for it. Don't test yourself the first time live. And I will leave up here for a few seconds my contact information. I'm sure you can find it. If you know the spelling of my name, you will be able to find me on LinkedIn. Okay, David, we can, what do I do to unshare my screen? So you don't need to see this in front.
Right. So I can take that from you, or I could stop your sharing. So that's not a problem.
Please do that for me.
Oops, give me a moment to do that. And in the meantime, I did also post your contact information in the, let me just get rid of that, in the chat as well. Okay, so now I am the presenter, so you're not the presenter. And yeah, there was just for your information, Alex, when you were showing us the piece of paper, because you were sharing your screen, we only saw the piece of paper within the 1-inch square that also has your face. So very glad that you read it to us, because it would have been just too difficult for us to read. Certainly, if it's real important, you can make slides from that. But folks, while we still have a few minutes, if you'd like to ask Alex a question, just politely, one by one, unmute yourself and go ahead before we wrap up. And by the way, we will keep this session open. When we officially end it, we'll stop the recording, but we'll keep the open networking so we can catch up with each other as well. But yeah, have at it if you wish to ask Alex a specific question.
And if you turn your camera on, you make me very, very happy. It's so difficult to make presentation when you see those black squares there. When your camera is on, yeah, I'm smiling.
Yes, you know, some people in the morning on a virtual call still have pillow hair, and so they're just a little bit afraid. Alex probably often does not have that challenge, the pillow hair problem. You just, you know, brush your hair with a wet.
I wish.
Yeah, you could brush your hair with a wet rag and you're ready.
Yeah.
I'm curious, Alex. I'm curious, Alex, your observation with the AVI. When we talk about applicant tracking systems, we know that the HR department has some opportunity to, I'll call it, program the system. How many people they want, what skills they're looking for, and such. For the organizations that use AVI, the HR department, I'll assume, do they also have the ability to program it, things they're looking for?
Absolutely. Look, they go to the vendor, and with the vendor, they say, we want to have 8 questions. We want to have 7 questions. We want to have, we want to give people 2.5 minutes to prepare, and we want people to answer for 3 minutes.
My question is a little, in addition to that, would be, So let's say like Walmart gets 15,000 interviews. Nobody's going to read 15,000 interviews. But what they may say is, we want people that smile 50% or more. We want people that have an emotional profile such and such. So compared to the other people, so it's a little bit more, it's almost subjective.
Yeah. David, remember, it is a team evaluation. Let's say you are the hiring manager, and you have 4 other people whose opinion you want to take into consideration. So you ask those people working for you to review a slate of candidates that applied for that position, and you ask them, please grade from 1 to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 stars based on your opinion. And those people that receive 5 stars, they will probably go through another set of evaluation, a kind of informal, and then you will decide to invite 3, 5, 7 people to interview live or in person, and that's the process.
Okay, thank you.
I want to make a comment, if I may. Hi, Alex. Good to see you again. I want to remark how to manage to look exactly into the camera. And the trick I use is, for example, right now I moved my windows the way that your image is exactly above that green eye of the camera. And just to show you what happens if I would do it now, your image is way up, so this is the way how I would talk, and I think it wouldn't give a very good impression when I kind of look up and communicate with the speaker.
Yeah.
And then I would like also to comment a little bit about the general AI thing. So in my last job, I was involved in artificial intelligence development, not directly, but I oversaw it and I got the results from it. And the general feedback we got is humans agreed 80% with the decisions that were made by artificial intelligence. And that is very high. How often does a human get 80% agreement? The president is lucky to get maybe 50% approval rating. So for some reason, artificial intelligence does work. It is much more than it used to be in the past. Now it is really context and focusing on a lot of features, and image recognition has to become very developed. So just talking about my last job, I had a full schedule, 2 to 3 meetings in one slot, and then they shuffled 20 candidates to me. Hire somebody. So it's just not possible to hire all these people, and one has to find a way to make an intelligent decision without losing too much time on it. So just wanted to make these remarks. Thank you.
Thank you, Dietmar. Excellent comment. Thank you.
Alex, I have a
Anybody
question. I'm assuming that with these AI sessions that they're putting up questions on a screen, I guess similar to what you've done today and others have, with presenting a screen. So
Actually, they're not putting the question. You see a person on your screen, and perhaps he or she will introduce it. Hi, I am Mary. So here is my first question. Can you please tell me about yourself? And the person is frozen on the screen, and then you have 2 or 3 minutes to prepare. And when you are ready, you push a button and a recording goes on. So there's nothing written on the screen.
Oh, okay. So it's a verbal question then.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think that might make it a little easier with respect to camera location. Like I have a laptop and the screen died on it. So I have an external monitor that I use for everything. And which means I also have an external camera, which is much better than the camera on my laptop. And I have that sitting on top of the screen. And also this way, people aren't looking up my nose, when I talk to them, with as you often see with the laptop camera. So, for me, I think right now, this is looking directly at the camera. And this is looking at the screen with everyone. So I kind of think, or so the question is, for me to move this directly in front, it would be like this in front of me,
Yeah.
as I look at you. So I don't know. Does that seem any better looking directly at you, or because it might be like that? Then you might be able to put it on a stand of some type, like a
Dan,
miniature tripod.
here is what I want to tell you. When you were looking at the camera, the light was reflected on your glasses.
Yes.
That is not good. I'm wearing glasses too, right? You don't see a lot of reflection of light. By the way, I have 3 lights here. I have 3 lights in front of me, but I played with it until I made sure that it's not reflecting in my glasses. I positioned them at different angles and I played with it, because let's see, if I do this, I don't know. Do you see how it's reflecting? Yeah. So I wanted to avoid that. Good communication is when we look in the other person's eyes. That's the best communication. Think about it this way. If any of you are watching evening news on your national television, how often the person reading the news is not looking directly at you? Always looking at you. Remember, they are reading from a teleprompter and they are trained to do that. That doesn't come naturally. So again, I have a whole setup. I have a studio in my house because I do this daily and I want to demonstrate. Dan, in your situation, here is what I see. I see only an upper part of your body. You are a little too close to the camera. You see, look, I want to show you something. Right now, my face on your screen, again, I know that I'm just one of these little squares, but my face is very, very tiny. Now, if I bring this close, right now, my face is everything on your screen. So you need to find the right distance. I think the way I am positioned now is a kind of optimal. I'm not too much in your face. If I'm too close, every imperfection, every crease, everything on my face is accentuated because of the light and so forth. If I go all the way back, you barely don't see me at all. So you really have to play and find the optimal angle and the light and all this. It's technical. I set it up as a studio here. Yeah. Also, background, very, very, very important. The queen of background, her name, I'm not going to tell her name, but it starts with an N, by the way. And I love her backgrounds. I like, for example, Jerry Payton. I like the fact that your background is neutral. Excellent. That's very, very excellent. However, I want to say, you see, you have a light that comes from above. So, you know, this part of your face is a kind of in shade. Okay, I'm telling you, it took me a very long time until I positioned the camera and everything the way I want to. I also suggest a neutral background is good. I love Nancy's background, absolutely love it. But if I were to interview her, I definitely will remember her background. And that can be positive and that can be negative. It can be negative because it's distracting. You see, what I have behind me, I don't allow you to see anything but what I want you to see, which is very, very neutral. So if you interview me, you have no choice but to memorize and remember what you see. I don't give you, if I were to remove this, behind me, there is another desk and computer and books and all kind of stuff. Now, some people differ, that's fine. That's my opinion. Nancy, can you say, I read it very quickly here, something you got new glasses, what? Put on the,
Yeah, I just got new glasses and they have like some blue light filtering, but when I never had this issue before, now they show up, I see a lot of blue reflection.
and you know, I see you, I see a lot of blue, yes. Now, Nancy, you must have glasses? Some people can have an interview without, you must have glasses, right?
Oh yeah, very nearsighted, yeah.
Yeah. Because
Alex,
I can take
you don't know, but Nancy's guide dog uses glasses.
But yeah, third grade I've been wearing them since, very long. But yeah, what I could do though, if I have an interview, is use my prior pair, because you know my prescription changed a little, but I'm sure I could get by with those for an
Do you
interview.
have anti-reflective coating on your glasses?
Yes, yeah, it supposedly has everything.
Yeah, the anti-reflective coating cuts down on the glare because it's got more transmission through the glasses. The blue light filter is actually a yellow color in the glass to filter out blue. It's negative color space.
So do you think though that they did they do a good job? Is there something wrong with the anti-glare coating?
No. When I look at anti-glare filters for my camera, they usually have a bluish tint, which is probably what's picking up more.
Because my old glasses supposedly had it also, and yet those did not have the issue.
Depends on what they use for the coatings.
Yeah.
Nancy, perhaps you didn't pay enough.
Oh no, they were not cheap.
I know.
Well, you can always get Zeiss lenses. Those are the best in the world.
True.
Do they still make them?
Zeiss still makes lenses for Hasselblad cameras, I know. Probably Rollei's as well.
Anything else for Alex, folks, while we still got him here with us? Going once, going twice.
Actually, yeah, I just kind of have a question. I was just thinking about this with the lighting. Alex, is your lighting only coming from in front of you?
No. I'll show you what I have here. Ring light, $25 at Amazon. And I position it here, and you can put high and low and so whatever. I have this on my right side. And I also have an identical thing at about 5 feet in air. And it's reflecting this way. It's an identical. And, you know, look. And I can change the color. And I have in front of me, I went years ago to Home Depot and I purchased something. They call it under counter lighting. Do you know what that is? Yeah. In the kitchen, you can put under counter. And I have a kind of a strip in the form of a letter S, S like Sam. And yeah, I covered it with something so it will not be very, very shining. And that, by the way, is on a dimmer. So I can lower it. Now it's totally low. And now I'm increasing it and I'm adjusting it again. I played with this long time to adjust it the way I want it.
Ideally, you would want one light that's main power, another one that's a half to a quarter to give a little bit of some shadows, but not harsh shadows. And then the typical studio will have one to basically burn the top of your hair so that you stand opposite. If you look at like magazine covers, if you want to see how photos are taken and where the flashes and such like were, look at their glasses, look at their eyes for where there's a spot of light. You won't catch the ones behind them, but you'll see the burn, like I said, on the hair, which sets them off from the image.
Yeah, if
Joe,
anyone's got questions, you know, Joe is a photographer, so he can give you lots of tips too. You can contact him about that.
Joe, I'm willing to pay a lot of money for such a light, provided I get some hair back. Can I buy that?
You can get that baseball hat that has the hair coming out of the top. No one will know.
I don't know. Joe said it burns the top of your head.
Oh.
I'm not sure I would want a light like that.
Yeah, you probably don't. But again, the full and the, I'll say, half to a quarter to get a little bit of some shadowing, but not harsh shadows, would probably work. And you want them off to the side and up.
Yep.
You have on your one side, well, this side, I guess, on my screen, you do have a very harsh light on your left, I think it is, if I'm getting it correct.
Yeah.
Depends whether.
Yeah, and it's light. It's a ceiling light. That's why.
Yeah, I think mine, is a mirror image. It's flipping it around, but nobody can see what's mirror and what isn't.
Mm-hmm.
Right, folks, any other comments or questions for Alex that you may have before we wrap up the more traditional formal part of our meeting? And I'm sorry, Valerie, you were about to say something.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I wasn't sure you can hear me. Alex paid $25. Here's my ring lighting. I got it for $5 at Target.
Oh my God. Oh, yeah, the tiny one. Yeah.
The little tiny one.
Okay,
but it sits right behind my camera or behind my screen. It's tall enough that I can fit it. And as you can see, depending on how I flex it, it works really well.
Oh.
So you don't always have to
This is a lamp on my desk that's illuminating it. The lamp is it's an expensive lamp made by a friend who does cave pottery. And then the main light is just the light in the room. So pretty much any desk lamp with a good shade on it and an overhead light is what I'm relying on.
Yeah, so just play around with it and get people to help you and just keep moving the light around. But you don't have to go very expensive to try to figure out your lighting.
And that's what'll take the glare off the lenses. Because I know when I look at Alex, I don't see a glare. I see right through to his eyes. And I know with me, that's not the case unless I take my glasses off. Yeah. But I'm like Nancy, I need glasses to see.
Well, I'll also say this, until I got an external webcam, I was using the built-in one on my laptops. And they're built in, they're not very good. I used the one, I put the link in the chat. It's a book that actually Marty Latman recommended. It's by Paul Balow, and he suggested a Logitech C920 camera, I think, and they do make them with the shutter, so that when you want privacy, you close it.
Yeah, that's what I have.
Okay, yeah.
So, folks,
it also has a built-in microphone, which is what I'm relying on as well, and I think that works fairly well. In the book, he recommends, I think it's a $100 microphone. I don't think you need to go that route.
You know, folks, I think I'm going to keep the meeting open. I'm sorry, the session open. Why don't we just quickly wrap up the meeting, and then we can move on to the open discussion, continue with the open discussion that we're having. And so it seems Frank did indeed have to leave to go to work. I know he's been very busy lately, so he stepped away, so we can't get parting words from Frank. But I want to thank everyone for visiting with us today. Alex, as always, thank you for being a supporter and friend of Breakfast Club of New Jersey.
Thank you.
You know, you say you presented 17 times, but of course we would see you every month. So it seems like you're always there, but you're always a supporter. Thank you so much, as for lots of groups as well. We will be here again next month, always the second Saturday of the month. Next month will be October 8th. And Hannon Isaacs will be here. He is an employment law attorney. And he is an employment law attorney who takes the support of employees. Some of those lawyers support their corporate clients. He supports his individual clients. He'll talk about the essential principles of employment law for workers or those in transition. So for anyone who may be concerned about any issues to be aware of going into a new opportunity, or if you will let go and you feel there was something inappropriate, he can give you some guidance with that. So always excited when Hannon has the opportunity to present. So glad he will be here. And so I guess until we get to see you next month, of course, simply say to you, all have a great month, and we'll see you then. So thank you, everybody.